ATN Global News. First, the headlines. Police arrest woman for child trafficking. EFCC arrests 46 internet fraudsters. AGF moves to block presidential pardon. Finance Minister debunks hike in VAT. Ethiopia PM wants against evasion. Kendrick Lamar to headline Super Bowl. Okoye reveals World Cup UCL dreams. And now the news in details. Operatives of the Oyo State Police Command attacked to the Intelligence and Surveillance Unit has arrested 3 people said to have specialized in one-chance operations. Confirming the arrest on Monday, the command spokesperson, SP Grace Iringekoko, said the operatives on Saturday, on September 4, 2024, at about 9 p.m. on routine patrol along Garrison axis of Aba Road, Port Harcourt, sighted a purple-colored Volkswagen Golf with 6 occupants. Iringekoko stated that as a patrol van approached the vehicle, one of the occupants was pushed out of the vehicle around the Garrison flyover area. This heinous action heightened suspicion of the operatives, who then gave the vehicle a hot chase, eventually intercepting the suspects at the Eleme Junction just under the bridge. Iringekoko added that the driver and one other escaped, while the police apprehended 3 suspects, namely Theodore Sunday Ogu, male, a 42-year-old native of Olu community in Njaba local government area of Imo State, and self-acclaimed artisan residing at Camp Pipeline, Oyibo. Chinagorum Eze, female, aged 35 years, a native of Ibeja community in Enugu North local government area, but resides at Railway Obuama Oyibo. And Favor Yusuf, female, aged 30 years and a native of Plateau State, presently resides at Anele filling station, Mbano Camp Oyibo. Iringekoko stated further, the preliminary investigation revealed that the suspects specialize in one-chance operations, luring unsuspecting victims into their operational car, posing as a commercial vehicle. The suspect confessed to the crime and revealed that they have been operating in Port Harcourt and its environs between 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily for the past 3 years before meeting their Waterloo on that fateful day. She added that the suspects will be charged in court at the conclusion of the investigation. Police command in Rivers State has busted a child trafficking ring, rescuing 6 children and arresting a female suspect linked to the crime. SP Grace Iringekoko, the command spokesperson, confirmed the rescue in an interview with the newsmen on Monday in Port Harcourt. She said that the children were found in an estate in Ozuoba community, Obiakpo local government area of the state. Iringekoko said that the case had been referred to the Commissioner of Police Monitoring Unit for further investigation. Residents of Ozuoba had raised alarm about the suspects who frequently returned home with different children. An eyewitness who gave her name as Faith alleged that the woman has been taking children from nearby communities and churches. Another eyewitness who spoke in confidence said that the suspect had been residing in the fence compound with numerous children for over 2 years. Group called Inspired Nexus held their maiden edition leadership program with the theme Becoming Future Proof, aimed at enlightening youths in Nigeria on leadership. Oluchiwafo completes the report.
Leadership conference with the theme Becoming Future Proof was held at the Faculty of Law Auditorium in the University of Port Harcourt on Saturday, 7th of September 2024. The Global Leadership Conference featured speakers who spoke extensively on how young people can achieve their dreams of becoming future leaders irrespective of obstacles. Lead convener of the conference, Caleb Elochukwu, spoke on the need to be resilient in leadership, identified vision as one of the qualities of becoming a resilient leader.
And vision is the belief in that which you desire to become, a mental picture of your preferred future. Leaders, they are not motivational speakers. Resilient leaders are not motivational speakers. They are people who have a thriving vision so great, so big, so mighty, something beyond them that's caused them to pursue their dreams, their goals. And regardless of the obstacles that they meet on the way, they keep going because they are seeing something.
Val Ukafo, one of the lead speakers, stressed more on leadership from the mind as the gateway for sustainable development.
Today, I want to let you know that leadership starts from the mind. If you are able to lead your mind, you will succeed in not just leading yourself, but leading other people. And mind leadership is simply the ability to lead with mental discipline, self-awareness, and what is called cognitive flexibility.
Also speaking at the event, Pastor Victor Tanu maintained that adequate preparation for the future is key in building stronger leadership and sustaining the trend in the society.
In future-proof is prepare for the future so that when you are there, you are not like moping, you're not like looking, oh, okay, so no. You're really ready for what was coming. Now, ignoring these realities is the reason why a lot of people will miss opportunities, the reason why a lot of people will lose their jobs. A lot of people, just as the case as it is with individuals, it's the same with companies.
Other speakers, including Chioma Nana and Martins Azirundu, SUG president of the institution, advised participants to plan, prepare, and walk into leadership.
Whenever anything goes wrong in your business, you don't cry over it. You ask yourself, what caused this problem? And how do I put measures in place to prevent this problem from happening? If you have a business or you are an entrepreneur and a problem keeps popping up in your business, the same problem, then you are the problem.
It's all centers on preparation. I'll have to advise young leaders to get prepared for leadership. Let's not just walk into leadership. Let's not just find ourselves in leadership, but let's gradually, procedurally, trained and prepared walk into leadership, and we'll see the results.
The event had in attendance student wings, youth wings, and other stakeholders from different walks of life. Oluchiwafo, ATN News, Port Harcourt.
Operatives of the Benin Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Sunday arrested 46 suspected internet fraudsters. They were arrested at the different locations within Warri, Delta State. The Anti-Corrupt Agency made this known in a statement on its X page on Monday. The suspects were arrested following credible intelligence on their alleged involvement in internet-related fraud. 13 exotic cars, laptops, and phones were recovered from them. The suspects will be charged to court as soon as investigations are concluded. Media Director of the All Progressives Congress Campaign Council, Kasim Afebua, on Monday condemned 2 recent attacks on the party's campaign team. Afebua also alleged that the People's Democratic Party had twisted the narrative to make it seem APC members were attacking their leaders or that the team was being chased out of campaign grounds. Afebua claimed that the narrative promoted by PDP supporters was completely false and the opposite of what transpired. He expressed his gratitude to the security operatives who stepped in to restore order. He added that the party strongly believes no life is worth losing over an election. Afebua stated that the APC has restrained its members from engaging in any form of violence during and after this election season. He, however, said if this trajectory of violence continues, he will be forced to confront those who think violence and gangsterism are the methods of operation. Analysts have maintained that political defection among party gladiators in Nigeria is normal and long as political and personal interest is concerned. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Open Conversation, a political analyst, Nze Nze, identified that the timing for the resignation by Governor Obaseki Media Aids was aimed to achieve a reverse impact on the ruling party as it may.
The timing must be well calculated by the campees,
okay,
or those that decided to resign. Because if they do it now, they feel the ruling party where they have served over time, we feel the pause. It will affect them maybe negatively.
Meanwhile, Mr. Nze stated that the defection will as well negatively impact on Obaseke's administration.
Somehow we begin to look at it as being either selfish or thereabout. But whatever happened, it is allowed in Nigerian politics. When you are no longer comfortable at a certain party, with some certain party, you can decamp to another. Yeah, the law permits that. There's an opening. So it is not an issue. But the point is that it's a minus to...
As the Edo State governorship election draws near, 4 key media aides to the Edo State governor, Godwin Obaseke, have resigned from their position and parted ways with the People's Democratic Party. Reports that the former senior special assistant to the governor, Osayede Emeya, Henry Osaheni Ukatu, Efosa Edo Osage, and Timothy Edokbolo all announced their resignation in letters dated September 4th and 6th, 2024, addressed to the chairman of their respective wards and councils. Independent National Electoral Commission has announced that the dedicated portal for online accreditation of journalists and media organizations wishing to cover the understate governorship election scheduled for 16th November 2024 will open today, Monday, September 9th, 2024. It said the portal would automatically shut down at midnight on Thursday, 31st October 2024. National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, made this known in a statement on Monday. He noted that interested media organizations wishing to deploy journalists and technical staff to cover the election are by this statement required to apply. Federal Capital Territory Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has paraded 13 suspects who used the cover of heavy downpours to perpetrate their nefarious activities. The suspects, who are all male, were said to have allegedly vandalized some critical national assets and infrastructure in the nation's capital, Abuja. NCT Commandant of the NSCDC, Dr. Olushola Odumosho, who spoke with journalists on Monday at the command's headquarters in Abuja, said the recovered items range from vandalized street lights, billboards, armored electrical cables, rods, among other items valued at 5 million naira. He said the selling points of the exhibit have been discovered while efforts are in place to attract prospective buyers. He warned those nursing the intention of vandalizing public assets to desist, as the corps will not allow anyone to frustrate the federal government's efforts at providing infrastructure for the people. Odumosu also applauded the command's intelligence department for effectively utilizing the techniques learned during a recent training exercise. In Kaduna, the Zonal Director of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned one Ibrahim Shaibu before Justice Darius Kobo of the Kaduna State High Court, sitting in Kaduna State for fraud. According to a Monday statement on EFCCX.com handle, Shaibu is facing prosecution on a 7-count charge, including criminal breach of trust, impersonation, and obtaining by false pretense, amounting to 100 million naira. The 7 counts centered on criminal breach of trust, impersonation, and obtaining as much as 100 million naira from victims on false pretense. According to EFCC in 2017, Mr. Shaibu presented himself to his victims as NNPCL's Group Executive Director and promised to assist him procure over 2,000 liters of petroleum products. The victim, Fiscal Fasil Safianu, who said to have transferred their good cause to Mr. Shaibu's bank account in tranches. The commission said Mr. Shaibu failed to fulfill his own part of the bargain after receiving payment and failed to refund the victim's money. The defendant pleaded not guilty to all the 7 charges, but when they were read to him, the judge Darius Kobo remanded him in prison. Unidentified gunmen suspected to be bandits in their large numbers have kidnapped 2 nurses and an unsuspected number of patients from the primary health care center at Kuyalo, eastern part of Benin Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. The hoodlums were said to have targeted the nearby Government Day Secondary School at 9 a.m. on Monday. However, upon finding out the school empty, they stormed the closest health center. According to Musa Al-Hassan, a leader of a local vigilante group in the area, the bandits who were seeking to abduct students instead took 2 female nurses and several patients hostage, leaving the community in a state of panic. An eyewitness further revealed that the bandits came into the health care center wielding guns and machetes and dragged people out of the hospital. ATL recalls that bandits had attacked a community in Kaduna State last week, Friday. This incident is the latest in a series of attacks by bandits in the state. However, there is no official statement yet on the incident from the state government. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has dismissed Dr. Adamu Sambo from his role as Commissioner of Health. The incident or the announcement was made during the swearing-in ceremony of 3 new commissioners and the Chief Security Advisor. Governor Mohammed also revealed that his administration will no longer assign a commissioner to the Ministry of Local Environment, Local Government, following the death of the former commissioner and the implementation of new local government legislation. Recall that the former commissioner for local government, Ahmed Jalam, passed away in a car accident in June this year. Additionally, 2 other commissioners resigned to pursue local government chairmanship positions, and the chief security advisor was dismissed. Governor Mohammed announced Dr. Sani Dambam as the new commissioner for health, replacing Dr. Sambo. Mrs. Zainab Babatanka is now the Commissioner for Women Affairs. Engineer Mohammed Abdul Karim has been assigned to the Ministry of Commerce, and Dr. Ahmed Abdurraham would take on the role of Chief Security Officer. Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria has announced a ban on the use of underage headers and night grazing in Kwara State. The national president, Magban Alhaji Baba Othman Ngelzama, announced this decision during the inauguration of the state's new executive in Ilorin. Othman Ngelzama highlighted the importance of fostering peaceful coexistence between farmers and herders, urging the new executive to prioritize maintaining harmony. He condemned night grazing as a practice often used to incite conflict. He added that anyone engaging in night grazing is intentionally stirring up trouble and they do not support this practice, and that anyone involved will be handed over to security agencies for appropriate action. Othman Ngezama acknowledged the value of both farmers and pasturists' livelihoods, noting that a cow is as precious to a pasturist as crops are to a farmer. He also commended President Bola Tinubu's administration for establishing the Ministry of Livestock, a development he believes will significantly benefit the economy. Addressing the broader issue of insecurity, which he described as complex and involving criminal activities like kidnapping and banditry, Othman Ngelzama called for a united approach to tackle the problem. Remains of 3 victims of a building collapse in Kano State were on Monday laid to rest amid tears and wailing by family members, friends, and associates. Among the victims include 2 children of the tenant of the ill-fated building and a nephew who is residing with them. Despite endless rescue operations, 4 days after the tragic incident, the first daughter of the family, identified as Dimlila, is still missing as of the time of filing this report. The parents of the victims, who are currently receiving treatment at the hospital, are the only survivors of the tragic incident. The mass burial, coordinated by Pastor Michael Ayen, was attended by a mammoth crowd who thronged the Ahmadiyya cemetery to pay their last respect to the victims of the tragic incident. ATN recalls that the National Emergency Management Agency, KANU, on Thursday confirmed the death of 2 children, while 2 others suffered injuries following the collapse of a 2-story building at Norman's Land, Fagge local government area of the state. NEMA coordinator, KANU Territorial Office, Dr. Naruddin Abdullahi, also confirmed the number of persons who died in the building collapse incident, and the agency received a distress call today at about 2 a.m. from a Good Samaritan that a 2-story building collapsed at Norman's Land quarters, Kano, predominantly occupied by the non-indigenous community. Federal government has ordered an immediate investigation into the recent collapse of a 2-story building in Norman's Land quarters, Fagge local government area of Kano State. The collapse, which occurred on Thursday last week, has left people dead and 2 others hospitalized, according to reports by the National Emergency Management Agency. In a statement issued on Monday by the Director of Information and Public Relations, Salisu Haiba, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, expressed deep concern over the incident and directed that all full-scale investigation be conducted to determine the cause of the collapse. Dangiwa described the Kano collapse as another sad development, exposing the rot in the building industry over the years, which even checked will continue to remain catastrophic to the industry and society. He emphasized the need for a thorough overhaul of the building industry to prevent further tragedies. He highlighted the importance of implementing building codes and regulations across the country. The minister urged state governments and relevant agencies to act swiftly to prevent further incidents, recalling a similar building collapse in Jos, Plateau State earlier this year. Dangiwa reiterated the federal government's commitment to holding those responsible accountable. He further assured that the government would enforce stricter regulations to deter reckless and unprofessional practices in the construction industry. The minister extended his condolences to the families of the deceased and wished a speedy recovery to those injured in the incident. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has sent heartfelt condolences to the government and people of Niger State on the petrol tanker explosion on the Bida-Angai-Lapal Road on Sunday in Niger State. The tanker explosion had claimed the lives of 48 people and 50 livestock. According to the Niger Emergency Management Agency and the Federal Road Safety Corps, many people were injured in the accident, which also involved a truck loaded with cattle and passengers. Responding to the calamity signed by the Special Advisor to the President, Bayo Onanuga, on Monday, Tinubu commiserated with the families of the dead and injured victims. He also sympathized with the owners of shops affected by the tragedy. He prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured. The President commended the federal and state emergency agencies for their swift response. He similarly commended the good-spirited Nigerians who mobilized to the incident scene to assist the victims. He pledged continued support for efforts aimed at providing relief to those affected. President Tinubu has directed relevant federal agencies in transportation and road infrastructure to redouble their efforts and work with state government to enhance the safety and security of travelers and residents. Federal government has directed the exclusion of third-party research grant funds of federal universities and research institutions from the Treasury single account. In a letter from the National Universities Commission to Vice Chancellors dated 6 September 2024 and seen by newsmen on Monday in Abuja, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, conveyed the President's directive to the Coordinating Minister of Finance and National Economy, Wale Edu, mandating the exemption. The directive also grants universities and research institutions the autonomy to operate their endowment fund accounts in commercial banks. This move is expected to enhance the financial autonomy of universities and research institutions, promoting research and innovation in the country. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has proposed a constitutional amendment to block presidential pardons for corrupt leaders, aiming to strengthen the fight against corruption. The proposal made at a one-day roundtable organized by Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission in Abuja on Monday seeks to exclude corruption cases from the prerogative of mercy. According to the Minister of Justice, the proposed amendment will be pursued in the next constitutional review to ensure that corrupt leaders face the full weight of the law. The AGF stated that the proposal would be a significant step toward addressing corruption in Nigeria, a major concern for citizens and the international community, noting that several high-profile individuals convicted of corruption in Nigeria have previously received presidential pardons. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, Senator Osinachuku Idozu, lauded the proposal, noting that corruption undermines institutions and stifles development. He reiterated the Senate's commitment to supporting anti-corruption initiatives. ICPC Chairman Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu San emphasized the importance of collaboration between the ICPC and State Attorney General in preventing corruption and promoting good governance. He explained that the ICPC has been working to strengthen its anti-corruption efforts through preventive measures and enforcement. As part of efforts to enhance operational flexibility, inject fresh perspectives and optimize leadership capabilities, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has approved the posting and redeployment of some senior officials, including branch chiefs, air officers commanding, directors, and commanders. A statement signed by the Deputy Director of Public Relations and Information, Group Captain Kabiru Ali, said some of the redeployed officers are Air Vice Marshal Allah Sukami Abidoye, who has been redeployed from the Defense Headquarters to NAF Headquarters as the Chief of Standards and Evaluation. AVM Adeniyi Omesilola, formerly the Commandant at the former Forces Resettlement Center, now to serve as the Chief of Transformation and Innovation at NAF Headquarters, and AVM Abubakar Adamu as Group Managing Director of NAFL Group, others as AVM Iboro Etukudo, appointed as the Chief of Policy and Plans, AVM Francis Adosa, now the Chief of Training and Operations, AVM Dahat Ladan as the Chief of Air Intelligence, AVM Suleiman Usman, now the Chief of Communication and Information System, AVM Sayo Olatunde is to serve as Chief of Defense Policy and Plans, while AVM Lanre Oluwatoyin is to serve as Chief of Defense Space Administration at the Defense Headquarters. Also affected are AVM Ibukunle Daramola, a former Chief of Communication and Information Systems, reassigned as the Chief of Civil Military Relations. AVM Abiola Amodu, who served as the Director General of the Air Force Research and Development Institute, now the Chief of Aircraft Engineering, and AVM Patrick Phillips is now the Chief of Logistics. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Bala Abubakar, while congratulating the new appointees, enumerated the essence of the redeployment, which majorly allows for strategic flexibility and resource optimization for enhanced operational effectiveness of the NAV. Authority of the Nigerian Army has debunked reports of mass resignation of its soldiers from the service due to corruption, low morale, among others. The authority, in a statement by Major General Onyema Nwachukwu, Director, Army Public Relations, described the report as baseless. A news platform had alleged mass resignation of Nigerian soldiers over corruption, low morale, among others. But the statement further described the report as not only misleading, but also a deliberate attempt to sow the seeds of disaffection and acrimony, as well as denigrate the patriotic service of personnel and reputation of the Nigerian Army. Nwachukwu said, contrary to the insinuations in the report, Nigerian Army personnel are highly motivated and their welfare is top priority under the visionary leadership of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Torid Labaja. Operatives of the Department of State Service have stormed the Office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project in Abuja. This was disclosed in a post via SERAP's official X handle on Monday. According to reports, the officials were demanding to see the right group's director. The organization called on President Tinubu to immediately direct the DSS to cease the harassment, intimidation, and attacks on Nigerians' rights. This is coming after the rights group had urged President Tinubu to direct the National Petroleum Company Limited to quickly reverse the outrageous pump price of premium motor spirits. Former Kaduna Central Senator Shehu Sani has condemned the invasion of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project Abuja office by operatives of the Department of State Service. Serap raised the alarm via his X handle on Monday, reporting that DSS operatives have taken over his Abuja office. Reacting to the developments in a post on X, on his official X handle, Sani expressed concern over the invasion, stressing that security agencies must respect the fundamental rights of the organization. Reacting to the incident, Amnesty International, in a post on X, said the president was going too far in his administration efforts to suppress the certain voices. Femi Falana has warned the federal government over the unlawful invasion of offices, particularly those of human rights defenders. Falana was reacting to the invasion of the Abuja office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project by the men of the Department of State Service, DSS. He urged President Bola Tinubu to prosecute those behind the invasion. Operatives of the Department of State Service, DSS, has arrested the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. ATN gathered that he was arrested this morning at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Ajaero was about to board a flight to the United Kingdom, UK, for an official assignment when DSS picked him up. Although details of the arrest and the reasons are still sketchy, sources said he has been handed over to the National Intelligence Agency. According to sources, Ajaero was billed to attend the Conference of Trade Union Congress, TUC, in the United Kingdom holding today. Recall that Ajaero has been on the radar of security agencies recently. The NLC president at Thursday, August 20th, honored an invitation by the Intelligence Response Team arm of the police force. This followed the police summons on August 19th, asking him to appear the next day and threatening him with arrest should he fail to comply. Trade Union Congress on Monday said the arrest of the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC President Joe Ajaero by the Department of State Security, DSS, has set a dangerous precedent for the labour movement in Nigeria. Festus Osifo, the president of TUC, who said this in a statement, also demanded the immediate release of the labour leader. Consequently, NSC, after an emergency meeting, asked affiliated unions to be on red alert for nationwide strikes and protests. Ajaero's arrest comes weeks after he was summoned by Nigerian police force for questioning over alleged terrorism financing. Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria has condemned what it described as the arbitrary and illegal arrest and detention of the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, by the Department of State Service. In a statement by the National Coordinator, Comrade Emmanuel Owubiko, Huriwa stated that the constant harassment and arrest of key human rights, media and trade union figures, and particularly the constant tormenting through the instrumentality of the state armed security operatives against the law. The association said the government should play the game of governance by the rules and put an end to acts of arbitrariness, illegal detention and unconstitutional harassment of journalists, rights activists and trade union figures such as the president of Labour, Joe Ajaero, by armed goons who was directly under the command and control of the president and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The group said that the president elected under the 1999 constitution must know that Nigeria is a constitutional democracy and his office is not the same as the tyranny that plays out in China, which recently hosted the Nigeria and African presidents. The rights group also told President Bola Tinubu that trade unionism, human rights activism and journalism are not in any way criminal, but are rather integral stakeholders that sustain constitutional democracy. Huriwa further asked the leaders of the respectable and powerful international community, such as the U.S. President, Mr. Joe Biden, the PM of Britain, Mr. Keir Starmer, the PM of Canada, Mr. Justin Trudeau, and the Secretary General of the UN, Mr. Antonio Guterres, to intervene in the rapidly deteriorating democratic standards in Nigeria under President Bola Tinubu. Head of the Civil Defense of the Federation, Didi Wilson-Jack, has called for stronger collaboration among federal permanent secretaries to accelerate the implementation of the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan 2021 to 2025. This, according to a statement released on Monday by the Director of Press in the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Eno Olotu. Wilson-Jack emphasized at the inaugural retreat for federal permanent secretaries, noting that this plan is not just a document but a strategic roadmap that will shape a more efficient, accountable and citizen-focused public service. The retreat held from September 5th to 7th, 2024 in Zuba, Niger State was themed Accelerating Public Service Reforms Toward Effective Civil Service Delivery. In a keynote, Mrs. Wilson-Jack highlighted permanent secretaries' critical role in bridging policy formulation and execution. She urged them to align their operations with the objectives of the FCSSIP 25 to ensure effective implementation and uphold the principles of good governance, commending the permanent secretaries for their dedication to maintaining the service values and standards. Wilson-Jack encouraged them to see themselves as custodians of institutional knowledge, tasked with serving Nigerians with integrity and impartiality. Executive Secretary, the National Secondary Education, Iyela Ajayi, has urged the management staff of the to be dedicated to improving the service delivery of the organization. Ajayi made the call at the 3B-day sensitization workshop on performance management system of the Commission in Nasarawa on Monday. The executive secretary said the objective of the workshop was to enhance, transform and improve the educational system to ensure a brighter future. Ajayi added that the workshop would facilitate actionable strategies that would serve as foundation for enhancing the performance management framework. He further urged management staff to refine their performance management practices to enhance effectiveness as well as contribute to the betterment of the entire education sector. On his part, Mr. Abiodun Ajayi from the Performance Management Department, Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, said the training was necessary to bring effectiveness in service delivery. He noted that it is a monthly review and the brain behind the monthly review is to have feedback and check employees' deliverables and quarterly appraisal. He added that MDAs were expected to draw the objective from the monthly and quarterly appraisal of the PMS for optimum and effective performance. According to him, the PMS has two phases: the institutional performance management that has to do with deliverables and the employee performance management for promotion, discipline, rewards, and recognition. Labour Party factional leader led by Julius Abure says all his tickets ahead of the 2027 general election are open to qualified Nigerians. Abure made the announcement after a National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja on Monday. Abure's statement comes amid the controversy that trailed the recent stakeholders meeting convened by the government of Abia State, Alex Uti, and 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi, where a former Minister of Finance, Nenadi Usman, was announced a caretaker chairperson of the party. And now, business news. Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, on Monday dismissed reports making the rounds that the rate for value-added tax has been adjusted to 10% from 7.5%. Edu made this clarification in a statement he signed on Monday, affirming that the VAT rate as contained in relevant tax laws and chargeable on goods and services remains 7.5%. According to him, the focus of the government is to introduce policies that will improve the lives of Nigerians, not to impoverish the citizenry. He stressed that this is why the government recently introduced 150 days of zero import duty on several foods such as rice, wheat, beans, and other foods. This comes after Taiwo Oyedele, Chairman, Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, during an interview hinted at a plan to propose a law to increase VAT to 10% from 7.5%. His committee has since sparked criticism. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, reacting to the proposal, said it will be an inferno that will consume the very essence of Nigerian people. Following the recent hike in the price of premium motor spirits, otherwise known as petrol, small business owners under the aegis of the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria have decided to adopt survival strategies that will ensure that they do not go into extinction. This is coming on the back of warnings by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and ASBON that the fuel price increase would lead to scaling down of operations and possible shutdown of more manufacturing companies and micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. In an exclusive chat with newsmen, ASBON President Femi Eboshola stated, for them in the MSME sector, the same way out now is focusing not on what the government will do for them, but for they don't have control over that, but rather focusing on what they have control over, that is what they can do for themselves. Meanwhile, MAN and ASBON told newsmen that this increase in fuel price could lead to further rise in inflation, increased cost of operation, production and logistics, low demand, rising inventory, and consequent loss of jobs. Director General of MAN, Shego Ajayi Kadiri, said, in terms of what the impact might be and judging from what they have witnessed in the past, the cost of transportation may increase, and so will the prices of food and services. These are pointers to the high possibilities of a rise in inflation figures impacting household budgets. Analysts have expressed concern over the cost of petrol from Dangote's refinery. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Atlantic Blowout, a political analyst, Eke, maintained that the long-end expectation of most Nigerians were dependent on Dangote's refinery to ameliorate the lingering hike in fuel price across the country.
My fear is, will the PMS, gotten from Dangote refinery, will it reduce the price of PMS, petrol, at the filling station where the common Nigerian man buys, from the 1,200 or 1,300, maybe now to 700 naira, or to 600 naira, or to 500 naira? If it has nothing to do with price reduction, it's as useless as the situation we are in.
Speaking further, Mr. Eki addressed that PMS from Dangote refinery may not reduce the sufferings of Nigerians as should.
So we were clamoring, trusting that, Dangote refinery is going to help reduce the price of PMS. That was what many Nigerians were expecting. And some of us understand that it may not be so.
This is coming as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited clarified that the Dangote refinery and any other domestic refinery are free to sell petroleum products directly to any marketer on a willing seller, willing buyer basis, which is the current practice for all fully derogated products. Nigeria's company income tax has experienced a dramatic surge of 150.83%, reaching 2.47 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2024. According to a report from the National Bureau of Statistics, this represents a substantial increase from the 984.61 billion naira recorded in the first quarter of 2024. Year-on-year, CIT rose by 59.52% from 1.55 trillion naira in Q1 2023. In terms of contribution, local payments totaled 1.35 trillion naira, while foreign CIT payments amounted to 1.12 trillion naira for Q2 2024. The NBS report highlights significant growth across various sectors. Agriculture, forestry, and fishing led with an impressive 474.50% growth rate, followed by financial and insurance activities and manufacturing, with growth rates of 429.76 and 414.15% respectively. Conversely, the activities of households as employers and undifferentiated goods and services producing activities of households for own use saw the lowest growth rate at -30.22% and -15.67% respectively. Sectorial contributions for Q2 2024 show that financial and insurance activities took the largest share of 15.53%, followed by manufacturing at 8.99% and information and communication at 7.84%. In contrast, sectors with the smallest shares included the activities of households as employers and undifferentiated goods and services, producing activities for own use with 0.00%, followed by water supply, sewage, waste management, and remediation activities at 0.02%, and activities of extraterritorial organizations and bodies at 0.03%. Analysts have expressed concerns over the expected time frame allotted to the presidency for the reversal of fuel price by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Society Watch, a social commentator, James Martins, stated that the requested timing by SERAP for fuel price reversal across the country is unrealistic.
They are saying the president should get it down to the old price in 48 hours. Does that mean we should use like that GDP to pay for fuel subsidy? I don't think that request is realistic.
That's
the other elements of the request make sense.
That's what I'm actually saying. It's not about the 48 hours now, Mr. Martins. That is not even a bone of contention. But the bone of contention now is going back.
Meanwhile, Mr. Martins advocated for the reversal to the initial pricing of PMS in order to help boost and reposition the nation's global economy as well as small-scale businesses in the country.
Price of 67 naira or 65 naira. That's what I want. Or cheaper. Like if you give me fuel for 30 naira per liter, I'll be very excited. It's going to be good for my business and for my life personally. And I believe every Nigerian is going to agree with me.
This is coming as the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has urged President Bola Tinubu to use his leadership position in good offices to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to immediately reverse the apparently illegal and unconstitutional increase in the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, across the retail outlets, as well as to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fabemi, and appropriate anti-corruption agencies to probe the allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the NNPC. Up next, international tidbits. Algeria's incumbent president Abdelmajid Tebboune has been re-elected with almost 95% of the vote, the country's electoral authority, ANI, said Sunday. Tebboune, who won his re-election by an overwhelming margin, but election officials reported fewer than 6 million out of the 24 million eligible adults voted. The Independent Election Authority on Sunday announced that Tebboune had won 94% of the votes, for outpacing his challengers, Islamist Abdullahi Hassani Sharif, who won 3.2%, and Social Yusuf Ochiche, who won 2.2% respectively. Election officials reported that less than 6 million of the country's 24 million voters have turned out to vote on Saturday, perpetuating the low voter turnout rates that marred Tebboune's first term and raising questions about his popular support. Such high abstention rates, which remained unofficial, will support the 2019 presidential election when 39.9% of the electorate participated. The victory grants a 78-year-old another term, leading the gas-rich North African nation 5 years after pro-democracy protests led to the ouster of his predecessor. If he manages to finish his second term in office, he will be 83. French President Emmanuel Macron sent his warmest congratulations in a statement late Sunday. Prominent Egyptian archaeologist and former Antiquities Minister Zahi Hawass has launched a petition for the return to Egypt of the pharaonic bust of Queen Nefertiti from the newest museum in Berlin. ATN learned that Nefertiti's famous painted limestone bust was uncovered at Tel El Amana, around 300 kilometers south of Cairo, in 1912 by a German archaeological mission, which shipped it to Berlin the following year. Amana was the short-lived capital of Nefertiti's husband, the 18th dynasty pharaoh Akhenaten, who reigned until about 1335 BC. Akhenaten, called the heretic king, was notorious for promoting the worship of the god Aten to the exclusion of Egypt's other gods. His reign also introduced a radical change in Egyptian art. In his petition launched on Sunday, Hawass asked for the return of the bust, saying it was removed from Egypt illegally after its discovery. Hawass said he is not calling for the repatriation of artifacts taken out of Egypt illegally. His campaign is focused on repatriating three main beautiful objects, including the bust of Nefertiti, the Rosetta Stone, and the Dendera Zodiac. However, officials at Berlin's newest museum were not immediately available for comment. Ethiopia's prime minister has warned that anyone planning on invading his country should think 10 times before doing so, because he said any attack would be repelled. Abiy Ahmed's comments come amid rising tension with Somalia and Egypt. Somalia has criticized Abiy's government's maritime pact with Somaliland as aggression and has forgiven closer military ties with Egypt. Somaliland, which separated from Somalia over 30 years ago, is considered part of Mogadishu's territory. Egypt is planning to send troops to Somalia following a military pact between Ethiopia and Egypt. Egypt has been involved in a dispute over Ethiopia's dam construction. The Ethiopian President Abiy stated that Ethiopia has no intention of creating conflict but emphasizes the country's defense capabilities. Somalia is angered by Ethiopia's decision to reach a deal with Somaliland for a port, which has angered the region. Somaliland has also said that it could lease a section of the coast to Ethiopia's navy in exchange for Mr. Abiy's government becoming the first to recognize it as an independent state. Tensions in the region escalated last month after two Egyptian C-130 military planes arrived in Somalia's capital to mark the strengthening of ties. Egypt plans to send 50,000 soldiers to join the new African Union force in Somalia at the end of the year, with another 5,000 deployed separately. The force has been in Somalia since 2007 to help fight Al-Shabaab, a jihadist group. Ethiopian troops are part of the force, but Somalia will withdraw next year. Egypt accuses Ethiopia of threatening its supply of water from the River Nile following the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. El Salvador's police chief, known for leading the country's war on gangs, was killed in a helicopter crash along with several others. The army said on Monday. National Civil Police Director Mauricio Araza Chicas led El Salvador's crackdown on criminal gangs since March 2022, a campaign that has netted nearly 82,000 suspected gang members under a system that allows arrest without warrants. The helicopter was also carrying Manuel Couto, a former manager of the Casavi Credit Union, under police custody. It said after his arrest in Honduras, Couto had been on the run for allegedly embezzling around $35 million. Others killed in the crash were 2 high-ranking commissioners and a corporal, a sergeant and 2 lieutenant pilots, according to officials and the Defense Ministry. The state-run Canal 10 TV channel said David Cruz, head of communications for the Justice Ministry, was also killed. In a report he had given at the border with Honduras, he said there was rain. Here now is ATN Sports News. Nigeria international and on this Udinese goalkeeper Maduka Okoye says he is desperate to play in both the Champions League and the World Cup. Okoye, while talking about his time in Serie A during an interview with the Italian football podcast, said playing in the biggest competitions will be special for him. Okoye is currently with the Super Eagles as they prepare for their second African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Rwanda in Kigali on Tuesday, following their 3-0 victory over Benin Republic, their first game in the series. While they have started their 2025 AFCON qualifiers campaign on a bright note, the Eagles find themselves in a difficult situation as they sit 5th in Group D of the CAF World Cup qualification with just 3 points from 4 games. Former Super Eagles and Chelsea midfielder Mikel Obi has dismissed reports that Victor Osimhen's wage demand was the reason the deal with the English side fell through. Chelsea made a last-minute effort to sign the Super Eagles forward during the final hours of the summer transfer window, but the Premier League side could not finalize the deal. According to reports, Napoli has accepted an £80 million. That's 80 million euros. That's $8.5 million $5 million offer from Saudi Pro League side Al Ali on deadline day, but Osimhen expressed doubts about leaving football. Ike, who was involved in the deal with Osimhen, has revealed that the transfer was just hours away from being finalized and noted that the forward was disappointed when the move fell through. Speaking further, Mikel dismissed reports of issues between Osimhen and Chelsea over the failed transfer. The reigning African Footballer of the Year has since sealed a season-long loan deal to Galatasaray. Fast-rising Nigerian player Pierre Tiloki was named the player of the match as Nigeria's under-19 female cricket team beat their Ghanaian counterparts by 178 runs in the first game of their series at the Unilag Cricket Oval. Lucky was just 3 runs shy of century with 97 runs from 53 balls, including 12 fours and 2 sixes. Nigeria won the toss and elected to bat first, racing to 212 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in 20 overs. Ghana's sacks of beating Nigeria's total in the second running was stifled by the incredible bowling of Peculiar Aboya and Peace Hussein, who got 3 wickets each, limiting the Ghanaians to just 34 runs, all out in 8.5 overs. The series was organized by the Nigerian Cricket Federation to turn up the preparations of the team for the 2025 ICC Under-19 World Cup qualifiers in Rwanda later this month. Nigeria and Ghana are joined by a selected Nigerian side led by Batasande Salome, as well as the Southwest female cricket team. In the opening game of the series, the selected Nigerian team defeated Team Southwest by 67 runs. And now, entertainment news. Media personality cum actress Toke Makiwa has reflected on her journey into the Nigerian movie industry, revealing that she misses out on fun stuff during the process. Sharing her encounter in a recent statement, Makiwa disclosed that she has featured in 5 Nollywood movies this year, expressing gratitude to the versatile roles she has played. According to her, the quest involved sacrifice because being committed to something for her means chasing it with everything. Makiwa added that looking back, then she was not half as confident or even good or ready for the job, but that today she has grown and that she is still learning, but she is much more confident. Makiwa noted that the dream is not wrong, but that the timing must be right to protect you. Famous Afrobeat musician Davido has reacted to the backlash received over a comment about his logistics manager Israel DMW's failed marriage. ATN reports that Davido had in a viral video on social media while boarding his newly acquired private jet, mocked Israel's estranged wife, Sheila, saying the beach is regretting now. Following the statement, netizens, including celebrities, criticized Davido. Music producer Sam Clef blasted Davido, stating that he lacks empathy and morals. Reacting to the backlash, Davido mocked naysayers for being angry for nothing, as they are bound to come back to watch highlights from his life. Grammy-winning rapper Kendrick Lamar will headline next year's Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans. The artist confirmed in a statement. Next year's Super Bowl will take place at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans on February 9th. The National Football League showpiece is the biggest annual event of the U.S. sporting calendar, with a halftime concert traditionally one of the highlights of the spectacle. A list of past Super Bowl halftime performers reads like a who is who of the music world, including the likes of Rolling Stones, Prince, Bruce Springsteen, Madonna, U2, Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, and Beyoncé. Rap and hip-hop have also been well represented, with Lamar featuring alongside the likes of Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, and 50 Cent in a memorable performance at the 2022 Super Bowls in Los Angeles. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Police arrest women for child trafficking. EFCC arrests 46 internet fraudsters. AGF moves to block presidential pardon. Finance Minister debunks hike in VAT. Ethiopia PM warns against invasion. Kendrick Lamar to headline Super Bowl. Okoye reveals World Cup UCL dreams. I am Wendy Aguma. Thank you for watching and good evening.